What up, this is Panic from Illvibe. I'm going to show you a little demo on the Numark TTX1 turntable. Show you a little bit about the features, talk about the good things about it, bad things about it, and give you a little demo. Alright, peace. Alright, so what you're looking at is the Numark TTX1 turntable. It's one of Numark's newer turntables. Actually has a lot of features. You know, messing around with it, doing a little testing of it. It's a pretty good turntable. I don't really have too much bad stuff to say about it. You know, it does have a lot of bells and whistles, which is cool. It actually lets you experiment a little bit more with what you can actually do with the turntable. The pickup on it is really good. It is a direct drive turntable, not a belt drive. Don't ever buy a belt drive turntable unless you're just sitting in your living room and listening to old records, and you don't ever need to use them to actually like mix or anything. What it does have is start and stop buttons on each side. So no matter what side of the mixer you put the turntable on, there's always that start stop button right next to the mixer, so you don't have to reach. Because in the traditional 1200 design, it's only in one corner, so you have to reach over further if the right turntable, you know, is obviously on the right of your mixer. So that's very convenient. So that's a good option. It also gives you a forward and reverse function. Play that. So you can just play the record normal, or there's a button right here that lets you play it in reverse. I don't know if you would ever use it when you were mixing, but production, studio production, always things like that always come in handy. Also, another thing is that they put the power button up here and out of the way, so it couldn't get bumped or turned off by accident or anything, and it's actually a button you have to push down. It's not a turn button like the Classic Techniques design, so that's good. So another real quick feature about the start and stop is that they actually have a control for how they actually work. It's like turntable started right away. Stops right away, but I can adjust the pickup of the actual turntable when I hit the button. See, it picks up slower. So again, it's another feature. You can set that feature for when you're using it out, and you can keep it that way for a long time. It might come in more handy when you're using it in the studio for production, post-production, kinds of things like that. So I'm going to turn this around so you can see. So another interesting feature is it gives you a nice clear display that you can see. You know, if you're out in, you know, in a club or whatever, it's nice and bright, so you can always see you know, the information in here. If I start this up, this has a standard quartz lock, which I can put it at 0, and no matter where I move the pitch, it's still going to stay at 0. But if I take that off, lets me ride the pitch up plus or minus 10%, and actually it has 2 other pitch levels. Put it back at 0. I can go to 20%, which will take it even slower or much faster. Put it back to 0. Or I can go to 50%, which is a pretty crazy feature. Or all the way down to minus 50%. Which, again, studio, cool. I don't know about playing out with it, but good feature for the studio. Put it back to 0. Back to 10. It also has a BPM calculator right on it, so you don't even, if you don't know the BPMs of records, hit this button. It'll take a minute to get it in there. It's saying it's 90 right now. Looks like that's what it is. So that's a very, very cool feature. It also gives you your standard 33 and 45 speeds, you know, depending on how the record's cut. If it's cut for 33 and a third RPMs or 45 RPMs. And then if you, there's the traditional, very old school 78 speed, which they don't make any more modern records at that speed, but there's some, you know, older records that were cut that way. All right, so right now we're playing this record at 33. Some records like 45s are cut at 45, so you have to play them faster. And then if you hit both at the same time, it'll give you the 78 speed, which is real fast. Like I said, there's not many records that are cut at that speed anymore. Put it back to 33. So it's kind of a standard tone arm setup here. You know, you can lift the needle up off the record, put it down. It's got a height adjustment, this thing here, which you can tune. You always want to tune that relative to your needle, but that. So that's a standard feature. And your weight, this is all pretty thorough. And then this turntable, it actually comes with a S tone arm and a straight tone arm. So you can switch them out and use whichever one you want. Supposedly the straight arms are better for scratching, is what a lot of people believe nowadays. So they give you the option, you know, if you want to use this as a scratching turntable, you can do that. Also, it gives you a target light here, which actually comes out. This is a cool function, because if your target light ever goes out, you don't have to take the whole turntable to get it repaired. All you have to do is pull that out and go get another bolt. And this way it doesn't get broken or banged up. You can just take it out when you're not needing it. But that's so you can see the record in the dark and see the grooves, if you don't know. So nice feature. So I would say this turntable is a pretty solid turntable. Most of the turntables that are made nowadays, direct drive, are pretty standard, because they know that if they're not made really well and do very good, very standard things, that people aren't going to buy them. So I would definitely recommend this turntable. It's really heavy. That's the only thing. It's a little bit. I think it's a little bit heavier than the Technics turntable. So it's definitely a good turntable to have in your studio for production, as well as mixing out, because it has all these other features that are very helpful in that when you're making music and sampling and things of the sort. So the last thing I'll show you real quick, very cool features, is you actually have removable plugs back here, and it gives you a digital out option if you need it. If you want to come digital out right to a computer or something of the sort, and you can just do traditional RCA, and it also gives you a phono end line switch. So technically, you don't have to use a phono input for this turntable, which is also a nice feature. You can go right into something. So, and these plugs are removable. They come out, so you're not constantly dragging around extra wires or trying to keep your wires in order when you're packing up your turntable. You just pull them out, and it's a lot cleaner. And the only other thing I'll say is that it has nice handles. So even though it is heavy, it's got grips on the bottom, so you can carry it easily. And in that case, it's not going to fall out of your hands. And then, of course, adjustable feet for height and leveling off the turntable, which is another standard feature for all turntables. So, I would say, good turntable. I would buy it. Late. That was long.
Yeah. Yes.
Should have Phrase do something.
Yeah, definitely. All right, you recording?